Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Star Wars Lads. We are going to be talking about a tier list today, mainly one that you guys have all requested for a while now. We've covered a lot of different topics on these tier lists, but we've yet to cover droids. So we are going to be covering droids in this video, kind of a range of characters. Usually we only stick to canon, and this is a mainly canon tier list, but we do have some of the heavy hitters, some of the highlights from Legends, as well as some of the more expanded, even non-canonical, like Legends canonical timeline stuff. So we do have some characters on here that you hopefully either know or will learn more about in the future, as well as some categories like specific groups of battle droids and stuff like that. We wanted to throw a variety of stuff on here to fill up the tier list as much as possible. So before we get started, though, please hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel for Star Wars content. Minimum 3 to 5 days a week. We're going to have 2 shorts, 3 videos. We will be continuing to cover Obi-Wan Kenobi Wednesdays and Fridays. Wednesdays will be our reviews for the newest episode, as well as Friday, our predictions and speculation. If you haven't checked out last week's predictions, speculation, and review of Chapter 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Part 3, you want to check that video out. So now let's bring in the tier list here. Oops, there we go. The tier list. So if you've never watched one of our Star Wars Lads tier lists before, we do some quotes next to the actual tiers. So these are all C-3PO quotes. Let's get into these droids. Our first one here is absolutely one of my favorites from canon, 000 from the Afra comics, as well as Karen Gillan's Vader run. What are your thoughts on 000 and where he could be placed?
I think when he was introduced, he was very fun. He is evil C3PO. He's kind of got the same inflection and how he talks and all that. I think he kind of dragged on a little bit as a character, especially in the Afro comics, because when he was first introduced, it was obviously in the Vader comics, and I thought he was really used quite well there. I love how he likes to just torture people and like skin them alive and all those things. Um, in the Afro comics, it's kind of like sometimes they're under her control, sometimes they're free and apart, sometimes even Afra's underneath their controller. I mean, I think he's a fine character. I would say B tier.
I want to say A tier for 000 in my opinion. I think, especially when you look at the rest of the characters on this list, he has one of the
Right.
greater characterizations, I would say, at least, especially compared to a lot of the groups of characters on here. So I think just purely for the personality alone, I want to put him up there. He's also kind of like our canon HK-47 in the way he looks at people, wants to kill them and torture them.
I don't mind that part of his personality at all. So I'm down for keeping him at A if that works.
Okay, let's put him in A. We can always change it up, as well as we usually only do 5 at the most for S tier. So we're very picky on who gets into S, and we don't have to do 5 as well, but 5 is the max. So 21B Medical Droid. The biggest appearance of 21B Medical Droid is in episode 5 when it repairs Luke Skywalker, helps him get into a bacta tank. I don't know. For this one, I would say probably C-ish because we don't have much of a characterization.
It's tough for me because I do like his like kind of conversation that he has with Luke. I'm saying a B tier. I just like him a lot, and I think the
Okay.
design also has. When you talk about droids, I think design also does matter. So he's got a cool design to me.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't mind B for 21B. That one is fine. For me, 4LOM. 4LOM's been given a lot more characterization, at least in canon, over the last 2 years with the Bounty Hunter line and now into War of the Bounty Hunters. For me, I wouldn't put him as high as 000, but I think if we're looking at droids in general, probably that A tier of droids still.
A tier, okay. I would put him higher. I'd say he's a B tier for me, just because I feel like his initial stuff in the comics was really cool for me, but he's only recently been like revitalized. So for me, he's upper end of B tier.
I'm okay with doing that for now. I think we'll look and change it up as we go on. But yeah, I think for me, because he has a little bit better characterization than especially 2-1P Medical Droids, and I like the design a bit more, I would venture for A. But scan the rest of the list, and I feel like A is also going to be pretty heavy. 8D8 is a droid that was given a bit more characterization in Book of Boba Fett. Before he was just the droid that was burning the GONK Droids' feet in Jabba's palace. It's a droid that I've always remembered mainly because of the toys. I'd still put him in B. I think I like him better than 2-1B.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's B tier. I do like how he's kind of like British servanty, like, but and like he's always like saying these things to Boba, and Boba's like, I don't care about like your rules and like mannerisms. I don't care what Jabba tolerated.
All right, let's move on to this is going to be one that not a lot of people know the name of. This is Aly San San from the pre-show video of Star Tours The Adventure Continues, a character that is definitely very well remembered by me as somebody who goes to the parks a lot. Uh, I like this character. I like the way she's a parody of like typical flight attendants and instructional videos and stuff. I don't know, not much characterization given, but I'd toss her in B tier.
Yeah, I'd say bottom of B tier. I finally went on Star Tours again since 2016. It was nice to see her. It's it's also really interesting to see where George Lucas was taking droids in like early 2010s, where they're all CGI. There's not a single practical droid.
All right, next is AP5, who's been the subject of some controversy over the course of Rebels. I think AP5 does get a bit of a bad rap just purely because we get episodes that star him and Chopper or just him. Uh, but I think AP5 works the best in the ensemble. Is a droid that is I've always, as much as I've given crap to AP5 over the years for his appearances in Rebels, it's more of a dig at the filler nature of some Rebels episodes rather than actually the character himself. I still like AP5 quite a bit. I'd put him in B.
I think I like AP5 a lot because man, he's just so depressed. He's just so sad, so depressed all the time. I really like his like sacrifice for Chopper, where he's just floating out in space, and then he like sees like space butterflies or something, and then he like I think he starts singing to himself or something. I'm not sure if I remember it right. Or
I
I don't
see
know.
B.
I say B. I say B. I think A if we had a smaller list.
All right, then let's move on to AZ. Uh, AZ is a really good character. I've grown to really like him over the years, especially in that heartbreaking Order 66 arc in Clone Wars, and then now as part of the Bad Batch. I would say A for AZ.
Easily an A. I mean, I wish his memory didn't get erased. I hope to some degree it can be. Hopefully, it's more like that. It's like concealed or restricted behind some confidentiality programming or whatever. He's probably the only droid who really knew anything about Order 66. He grows so much with fives in a way that it's very evident that his programming isn't just reset completely. There's parts of those experiences that feel lived in Bad Batch.
Let's move on to this is one of our first real groups of battle droids, and these are the B1 battle droids. I lumped them all together. I really, really have grown to love the B1 battle droids over the years, especially their banter in Clone Wars, as we've seen come across as well in Bad Batch and Rebels, and just all this stuff. Every time we see them, they're given a lot more characterization. Such a classic design as well. I would put them in A.
I'm teetering between A and B because I don't want to discredit Rebels, Clone Wars, or Bad Batch because the droids there, every appearance they make, it's wonderful. I will say that they feel really bland outside of their design in the movies. They have some humor. I like that episode one scene where it's like, wait, you're not, um, shoot him, right? Like that humor was evident. I think they were always meant to be humorous. I'll say bottom of A, just because iconic look does carry them, and animated stuff can't be ignored here. But man, it's really close to a B for me.
Yeah, it's close for me as well because of just the fact that they're, don't have any real distinct faced characters, like
Right.
we just seen a variety of versions of them, but it really is the humor that takes it up a notch. Like they are
Eh,
consistently making me laugh. B2 Super Battle Droids. I've always loved this designs, particularly in the movies. I feel like in the Clone Wars that they became so round and bulky, it was a little over the top.
right.
But in the films, I've always loved the way this design looked. For me, The characterization's not as good as the B1s, but the design is up there. I would say I'm okay with either B or A.
See, they have an iconic introduction in the Attack of the Clones, right? The one that just beats that other B1s right away. And you can see a natural evolution. Like these are fortified. These are like Gen 2 in a way. I don't know. They're like jock droids. They're really dumb and big and they're like, get out of the way. Oh yeah. But they don't feel fun to me in the same way that the B1s are. I would actually argue C.
I can see that perspective. I want to put him at least the bottom of B just because of how much I love this design. BB-8, BB-8, I think because of just his massive role in the sequel films, it's got to be at least an A for me. I know the design is pretty cool. It was unique at the time. It's one of the more beloved cute droids as we've gotten over the Disney era. A lot of cute droids. For me, there's at least 3 or 4 other ones that I want to see in S over BB-8. So I don't know if I could say S for BB-8, but I definitely would say A.
I'd say BB-8 is very gifted physically. You know, there's a lot of cool scenes where, like, in the ship when it's all flying around, and then he uses cables, the way he like saves Poe's targeting system. He's a kid to me more than he's like R2 feels like a even in the prequels kind of feels like a young man. BB-8 feels like a fun, adventurous kid that he's always got it at the end of the day. I love his thumbs up scene with Finn. I do like the dynamic with Poe. I think that's a big part of his character. Anytime they're together, it's just a very lovable relationship. Makes it to the S because there's a lot of times that these droids are like really in cahoots or good with one character, but then the other character is like, "Oh, you're there." Like, "Oh, sure, do this, do that." But BB-8's like lovable by Finn, by Poe, by Ray, and he's lovable with R2 and 3PO as well. So the design, I feel like you have to give major props. I would argue for S.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the big controversial ones, no matter where we end up putting him. I think for me, I have at least 3 other ones that I definitely, I think we all can agree, or we both will agree on at least a couple of these will definitely be S. I have at least 3 that I know I want more than him, but I could put him there for now
Yeah, I don't mind
because
him
I think
dropping. Yeah, but he's teetering
he's
for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's I think he's definitely got more characterization than anybody else on the list so far. BB9E. To me, this is one of the more disappointing
Whatever.
characters
Yeah.
from the movie. One of the falls into that Phasma category of like heavily marketed for
All
ultimately
right.
nothing. I would say probably D for me.
Yeah. I mean, he has like that one cool stare, zoom of the eye. Forgettable for me.
Okay, BD1. So BD1 is going to be another one that's controversial no matter where we end up putting him. I'm of two minds right now on BD1 because I think continued games, which obviously we can't speak for the future right now. We can only speak to where we are currently in June of 2022, which right now only has one Jedi game out. It's tough when you throw them against BB-8 because BB-8 has far more screen time and like of an arc to go with and with characters that matter, where BD1 um, is more, it has a smaller role so far. But I like this design, I think, a little bit more than BB-8. Obviously, getting to play with it on your back the whole time adds another level to it where you're kind of interfacing with the player. It's really close between the two of them for me. I could kind of go either way. I could see an argument for either one, but he's obviously definitely A tier at least.
I like him a lot, but I don't think there's an evolution to his character, or it doesn't even feel like he changes. He feels like kind of a lost droid because of his connection to Cordova, um, and his purpose in helping out Cal. Droids are kind of used as like caretakers and stewards of information that are eventually going to be important in the future. in the movies and the games and the books. I love the design. Really, the design is fun. I love how he sits on Cal's shoulder. That really brings an intimacy to a droid that we don't always get. Like droids are touched, but they don't, they're not like babies or animals that you can kind of carry around doing something. He doesn't seem like he has much else of a role other than just be like a support animal, support droid. I would say bottom of A for me.
That's gonna get a lot of people upset, I know for sure. I'm fine with him in A because I think
Yeah.
I'm still on the same page where it's like I wanna see a bit more. So I'm fine dropping him an A. Now we move into BT1, which you could get these two characters' names confused, but they are very, very different. BT1, I like a lot, not as much as 000. Obviously, you can't speak or speak in basic, so you don't get that level of connection to BT1. Say either amongst the top of B or bottom of A.
I said top of B. I agree with all your point. To me, just 000 and BT just after a while kind of get annoying, kind of drag on a bit.
Okay, now on to Buzz Droids. Buzz Droids make one very impactful appearance, mainly in the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. Fun concept, but they don't necessarily stick out too much to me beyond that scene. I'd say C.
C tier for me. Great design. I loved how they're used on the Kata Namoida episode where Anakin just like, blacks out. Cool design, but they do also fall in that category of like droids that are just way too CGI for me.
All right, I think the first very easy S tier, and actually my favorite droid of all time, C3PO. There's not too much to say. I think as I've gotten older, especially, I've come to appreciate the humor even more so. And he's just an element of Star Wars that's makes Star Wars what it is and not just another science fiction film. Like you could have all these other droids, but C3PO and that personality given to robots was kind
Yeah.
of something that was pretty new and unique at the time. Absolutely love C3PO.
Daniels really makes droids what they are. Like every single droid on this list owes something to him. Um, I just love like just the sudden like looks of shock that he has, even though his face doesn't blink or anything. It's just the head turns like, huh? Excuse me. Right. I love all his calculations. I love his bad timing, everything about it. I would say arguably that episode 9 is his best episode and episode 5 for a long time was his best, but episode 9 he really got to do every single part of his personality.
So this is CB23 from Resistance, one of the two Resistance characters I have on here. Nobody from Resistance really leaves that big of a mark for me personally. This character is good. C for me.
C for me. I think she's definitely there just to be a replacement because they can't have BB-8 all the time. I do like her energy. She's pretty cool. She's got a cool color scheme, right?
So next is obviously Chopper. Chopper is a character that when Rebels first started, I didn't really love Chopper at first. And although I do give some crap about the random Chopper episodes that just get thrown into the middle of our narratives, I've grown to really love Chopper over the years. I think this is a character that probably has the most personality out of any astromech droid we've ever seen. Very excited to see what Chopper brings in Ahsoka, as well as we see him truly make his first real characterized appearance in live action. The animatronic slash robotics Chopper that we saw at Celebration was really awesome. It looks like they're really going to capture the spirit of the animation. Another one I'm very torn between A and S because I really like Chopper. I think I like Chopper more than BB-8. Very
It's a
close.
tough one because I think if you only see like the initial Rebels batch of episodes, he's just annoying. But the thing is, he evolves into a character that feels very much like the crazy uncle with like one eye just kind of bigger than the other, just crazed all the time. He's gonna say something out of pocket, do something out of pocket, and that's what I like about him. Because at the end of the day, it's such an interesting dynamic with Hera being like his like owner, right? She's so no nonsense, principled, and all that, but she somehow tolerates this droid that is murderous and crazy, and that level of trust that she has in him to do the right thing at the end of the day, even if he is clearly screaming explicitives. I know it's Dave Filoni's voice, apparently, it's Chopper's voice in the noises and all that. It's nice seeing that a droid that just is just like mad every time. He's like, I have to do this, I have to do that. I will say S tier. I think he's above BB-8 for me.
Commando Droids. I've always loved the Commando Droids. They have one of the most epic introductions in the Rookies episode of Clone Wars in season 1. Really, really cool design, cool features. They can change their voice. They're athletic. They can jump around. The one that's got the sword, the commander, such cool physicality to them that they have heavier plating, more blaster-proof plating, so they can't go down as easily. Very like twitchy and almost like zombie-esque the way they kind of like get hit and just bounce back. Really like these types of droids. I would say A.
A for me easily. All your points there. I do like how their heads look, but really, it's everything about them. They're so fun to play in Battlefront 2 as well when they can switch between swords and guns. But if we just only saw them once in Rookies alone, still an A tier for me. That's just how good and how effective they were.
DO. DO is another one, kind of like BB9E, that I don't really love from the sequels. Kind of just there. Obviously has a far bigger role than BB9E, but doesn't really do anything that like personality wise that really stands out. He's important to the story, but I would say D or C.
I will say C for him. I think there wasn't as much hype for him as there was for BB9E, and hype hurt BB9E because he just didn't do anything. Whereas, like you said, Dio has a role to play. I'd love to see what if we see a little bit more of him in Shadows of the Sith and whatever comes in the post sequel era. I think he's a fun companion for BB-8, and I'd love to see that dynamic continue.
Droidekas. Droidekas have been a huge standout since the Phantom Menace for me. This is where it starts to get tough as you start to put the list in perspective, because we do have quite a few in A, and there's quite a few more that I know are going to go in at least A. But I think they're better than most of these things we have in B as well. I would probably put them in A.
See, I'm gonna argue B here because as cool and iconic, I mean, the rollers right there, they got these shields. They're powerful behemoths. Like you put them on the field, it changes the tide of battle. It makes Jedi run away. But by the time of the Clone Wars, you can have your regular clone trooper just perfectly roll on like a little electro grenade underneath their shields at the right speed, and that's it. You disable them, and then they're pretty easy afterwards. Versus like with a Commando Droid, like you said, any hit that hits them, they're bouncing off of that. They keep moving forward. They are like Terminators, but like with extreme energy. Droidekas, when they came out in Episode 1, yeah, I think easy A tier, and they still are really cool and iconic. But I don't think they've had much media in Rebels and Clone Wars that shows anything cool or funny about them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm fine putting them in B. I would say maybe like right here,
Yeah.
right behind AP5. That's fine with me. EV99, really a jerk. That's kind of his main role. A speaking role always, bumps you up a little bit more, in my opinion, when it comes to droids, but semi-basic design. Did get another cameo in The Mandalorian as now a barkeeper on Mos Eisley. I would say probably top of C.
See, I mean, he's cool. He's got one line. I like always seeing droids reappear, especially Tatooine droids, because man, if you can survive on Tatooine, you've lived a long life.
Flo, I like Flo. Some solid lines, serves Jawa juice very quickly. Bottom of B.
Bottom of B. I think she's cool. Very diner-esque feeling.
GOTO. This is one of the first like mainly Legends characters we have here. This is from KOTOR 2. Not my favorite droid from the KOTOR series, so I would say there are a lot of great droids in KOTOR. I'd say either bottom of B or top C.
I would say mid C. I think it's fine, but there were so much better droids from the first game, so mid C for me.
GA97. This is the droid that reports the resistance that they found BB-8, and that is an important part of The Force Awakens, but doesn't really do anything else in the film. C.
I'm gonna say D. I don't know if I really like the droid design, honestly.
That's fine. Don't really have any personal feelings towards him. So the next one is General Kalani from the Clone Wars. I love this design. I've always really liked the design, the voice that they give this character. I don't know if I could quite say A, but I think towards the top of B.
Top of B. I don't think I loved these droids when they first came out in Clone Wars, but when they redesigned them and they kind of became more regal, more like they're the connoisseurs of battle, that vibe kind of really started coming off for me compared to their square boxy one.
Okay, next is GH7, who is the droid that tells Obi-Wan and Yoda that Padme is dying. I guess an important thing to say, but pretty standard design. C or D for me.
I will say bottom of C, just because they've got those. It's a different, very different look for a droid. I will say shitty doctor, man.
So this first one here is just GONK Droids in general, and GONK Droids have become a very beloved both design and just character in Star Wars recently. I would say B.
I think the memes alone carry him to the bottom of A. I love gonk droids just being walking batteries that just say gonk and walk and gonk. There's something so simple and effective about them.
That's fine with me. I like GONK Droids a lot too. The next one is Gonky from Bad Batch. So Gonky, I guess, has a little bit more personality. He's kind of a member of the Bad Batch, but I don't think I'd like him more than a lot of these other characters. I put him in top of B.
Top of B. I think he's got room to grow. If he somehow has more character development than Echo in Bad Batch Season 2, I will be shocked. But there's a strong possibility if he does.
HK47, I think, for me is an easy S. I love
S.
this character. So funny. Great dialogue. One of the best written droids out there. I'd put him right behind C3PO.
S. Easily S. Easily S. I mean, cool design, meat bags, just as humans. That's his whole story too is very interesting. Some of the other HKs too have lend a lot to him.
Professor Huyang, a character is definitely very memorable. Looking forward to see how this character's used in Ahsoka as well. I really like this character. I'd say A.
Bottom of A for me. I'm not that I don't like his appearance. I really love how he handles the younglings. He's got so much sass to him. The way he's just like, come on, you're not the first Jedi I've ever taught.
IG-11. IG-11 has such a memorable couple episodes in The Mandalorian, and this is where, again, fine lines between only having 5 and S and A. Right now, I think based on the characters we have here, it'd be close between him and BB-8, but right now I think I would at least put him at the very top of A.
I don't think he's an S tier character. I think he's A, top of A. I love the swiveling arms. It's really the IG-88 that we never got, right? And Taika Waititi gives a very interesting. His inflection is really cool.
And then now to move on to his counterpart, IG-88, which in canon specifically has not been given the same characterization that we've seen in Legends, as well as kind of what the live action IG-11 got. Based on canon, mostly, I would say B, probably behind 4LOM as well. Probably middle B.
Yeah, and I really hate to say it, but that's very fair. Honestly, he could even be bottom of B, but I think he could be top of B, with 4LOM or mid. Anything works for him. I do like his one shot more than most people. I think his role in the Darth Vader Greg Pak line, then besting Vader, he does disable Vader, which I think is you have to give him props there.
Next are the interrogation droids, mainly seen in episode 4. Pretty standard floating ball design. We never really get to even fully see them in action. I'd say based on what we have here so far, probably D for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with D. Only because I don't really like the needle. The needle is like the most 70s shot of the whole movie, and it kind of takes me out of it.
All right. So next is we have one very notable character not on S so far, and we can only do five. And this would be the character that I would personally bump off BB-8 for. It's K2SO. And I think K2SO, despite only having one appearance so far in films, but he will be in the Andor show. K2SO, for me, the characterization, how funny he is, but also his sacrifice basically out of all the characters is the most effective to me. I I love the way they make him fight. I love his sarcasm and wits. I personally would put him ahead of BB-8 right at the bottom of S.
Yes, I agree with that. Great design. I love the slap on Cassian too. And then he's like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry, Cassian." And Cassian is just so steamed. Great sacrifice. Honestly, that was like one of the few moments of any Star Wars movie that I was like, "Man, I'm about to tear up." I didn't expect this guy to like leave such a mark. Love how he just drops the bag. He's funny. I am taking these prisoners to prison. It's just a great line from Alan Tudyk.
So this is K3PO. K3PO doesn't really do anything, but is in Hoth. I do really like the white like 3PO design. I think that's pretty cool. Nonetheless, since very little characterization, I'd probably just for the design, I really like it. I'd probably say bottom of C, but I could see it elsewhere.
I say D, just because it's fine, but there's nothing else.
Yeah, that's fair. L3. L3 has been for a long time one of my least favorite Star Wars characters. I don't find her that funny. It's kind of, I don't know, feels like she takes moments away from a lot of other characters. And I just didn't really dig what they did with her. Obviously has more characterization than almost everybody else a bottom side of A, but still I'd put her in like D or F.
I will give her mid C. I don't love what they did with her character, but I think it's pretty interesting that she is one of the Falcon computers. That when she's dying, right, she's helps navigate their course through the Kessel Run. It adds a little bit more to Empire Strikes Back for me when C-3PO is like, "Oh, where'd your computer learn how to talk and learn?"
All right, I'll put her at bottom of the C.
Fine, fine.
Lola, we don't have much with yet. I really like this design. I think it's cute, but we don't have much characterization for Lola yet. Only 3 episodes into Kenobi as of the recording of this video.
I will say bottom of C. Great design, named after Carrie Fisher's pet bird, apparently when she was a kid.
The Magna Guards. Magna Guards. Love the staffs. I like the head design. I think the body design is kind of bland, but I do love when they wear the capes. I think that's pretty cool. I feel like they're they're built up well at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, but then we don't really see too much of them. That's super intimidating after that. They do have some really cool moments in the Clone Wars, though. I'd say B for me.
B works. Very much have like the same head shape as Grievous. The fact that they can't be killed unless you like stab them in the center or split them in half. That's really cool. Like they're undying. I really like that.
So these are the Midwife Droids that help Padme give birth to Luke and Leia. Very important role in Star Wars, of course. I love their their one line. It's like very soothing. Yeah, C.
See.
Mouse
See.
droids. Mouse droids are also kind of like GONK droids, have kind of become a meme. They are fun. I don't like them as much as GONK droids though. B.
B. I was gonna say top of C, just because I want to see a little bit more from a mouse droid one day.
That's fine. I don't have too strong of feelings about mouse droids. Mr. Bones, I do really like Mr. Bones.
Ooh.
Absolutely my favorite character from the Aftermath books. Uh, A for sure.
See, I almost want to argue for an S, but there's so many good choices in S. I'll say top of A, even ahead of IG-11. I think he's just hilarious, and everything's a little off kilter with him. And the fact that he's got Grievous and other HK programming, his look with the dead bones and birds and the color scheme, excellent.
Pit droids. Pit droids are fun.
Yeah.
They have some comedic moments. C.
Bottom of B for me. I think the little mentality of them all together being sucked up in an engine going like, woohoo, that was the craziest thing I ever did. I like them. These guys are fun, and I like how they've been used in Mando so far as well.
Probe droids. I love how iconic these things are. I don't know, no personality really to them though. Love the like binary code they speak in. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'd say bottom of B, top of C.
I will say bottom of B because they have a very iconic entrance in Empire Strikes Back. But I will say, even their use in Obi-Wan, it seems like over the years they've kind of lost their value.
PROXY. PROXY is a really cool character from The Force Unleashed. I really like this character. I like the way this character's used. It's kind of a one-of-a-kind character we haven't seen too much of in Star Wars. I would put him in A.
Bottom of A for me. I personally don't have the strongest feelings for him. I like how he's helpful to Galen at the end of the day, but he also wants to kill Galen. I love when he's as Maul versus Galen, but afterwards he just I don't know. And he's a weird like hollow projector, but not really droid. Like that's probably the coolest thing about him.
R3X, or DJ Rex from the Cantina on Batuu in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Good at mixing beats, though, I would say. B for me.
B. And he's also in Rebels.
Bucket from Resistance. I like Bucket. I like Bucket more than the other Resistance droids. Like, I don't know, kind of trying a wannabe Chopper in parts. Like, they kind of went for that same angle of like, let's make a kooky droid with like a bouncy head. Never quite lives up to that, but I would put him in B.
Yeah. I mean, it's an R2 unit without the dome, just the eye socket, and then like a pilot's helmet, which I thought was funny, but nothing more to it.
R4P17, one of the few droids to get, or astromech droids to get 5 letters and numbers in his name instead of 4. But R4P17 meets an unfortunate end during the Battle of Coruscant. His head's ripped off. But a fun character nonetheless. Just because he's Obi-Wan's droid, I want to put him in B, but I could see C as well.
He's a C for me because man, after being around R2 for so long, you'd like learn some tricks of the trade. This idiot got his head chopped off. Like useless.
R5D4, which, you know, it depends how much of Legends are taking into account, or even like over Legends. I love the Skippy the Droid story from Tales, where you can use the Force. Other stories that are prevalent around canon's Legends. Well, obviously malfunctions immediately when Uncle Owen buys him from the Jawas. I want to see him in B at least.
Okay. I don't really have much of an opinion on him. I do love the Skippy version of him a lot. I think from a certain point of view, he's kind of implied to burst his motivator on purpose still. But yeah, I will give you a bottom of B.
I will take it gladly. RA7, these also known as the Death Star droid. Cool design. I like the head a lot, but it's basically a standard protocol droid with a different head. Probably C.
C. I have no real opinion of this droid.
R2D2, another S, which means BB-8's coming off the list here. I don't know where to put him in S. Personally, I like C-3PO more, but I'm happy with him in basically anywhere.
R2 is my favorite of the droids. I think he grows a lot too. I would say 1 or 2 is fine for me.
RX-24, or Captain Rex from Star Tours. Love this character. So much fun. I remember the original Star Tours very fondly. as a kid. Very funny character, and is the pilot in Rebels. I am wanting to put him in A.
I'd say A is fine. I don't have any strong feelings. I do love the design though.
So classic, love it. This is a new one. This is the Scorpanek Annihilation Droid from Book of Boba Fett. I like this design. It's like a modified, bigger Droideka.
I don't know if I love them a lot. I think they're very much the same issues as Droidekas, but Droidekas are kind of cooler looking. These guys are just OP. I'd say top of C, honestly. They're intimidating, but I don't know. They just didn't do much more for me, honestly.
T3M4, another character from KOTOR. Not as good as HK-47, obviously. Kind of just your astromech for that game, as well as KOTOR 2. I would say A, because of how much time you get to spend with them and the story that is around this character, but not my favorite astromech.
I would argue for a B. I love his loyalty. I do not think he's much more than just kind of a blander R2 clone. He's a droid that I actually find kind of forgettable at times. It's just that he's around for everything.
These are the tactical droids from the Clone Wars. I've never been a huge fan of the design, but I do like the voice and I like their role in the Clone Wars. I like the way they're able to, organize the front lines and all that of the droid army. Some cool stuff there. Probably B for me.
For me, super tactical droids were such an improvement over the tactical droids that I don't know. And I want to put C because I don't think there was ever a really successful tactical droid. I don't love their design. Their bodies are just huge and their heads are just squarish and small.
Okay, I'll put it on the top of C. I like it right there. TC-14. TC-14 is only at the beginning of Phantom Menace. She's fun. Doesn't really do much. C for me.
Top of D. I don't like that she's complicit in poisoning the two best Jedi ever.
TODO. I love TODO. I love Cad Bane. I really like this character. I'm going to put him at the bottom of A.
I agree. Toto is hilarious to me. He's just got these little tiny arms too that just add so much. He's so like annoying in like the most adorable way. But I can see why Cad Bane's probably sick of him after like years and years.
The training remote from episode 4, and really in any light Jedi Academy has one of these things. Very basic design, very iconic scene though. C for me.
I'm gonna go D because they're again great scenes with them, but they don't have like a personality matrix. Like there's nothing. I kind of love it if like one of these droids manages to like hit like Ray in a scene and it just starts like bobbing up and down. Like, aha, I got you right. Like
The
yeah.
Tri-Fighter, not as cool to me as the Vulture Droid, and it got less appearances, but still a decent fighter. I feel like if we're gonna put Vulture Droid up around B or ish, I would probably put this one in C.
Yeah, Tri-Fighter doesn't do much for me. I don't. It's like it's just a design to be a design. Vulture droids have a personality. I don't see anything with droids really.
TT-8L, or the security droid from the Jabba's palace. I love this scene. I love the like dialogue it has. It's funny the way it converses with C-3PO. Man, probably B for
B
me.
for me as well. I liked how one of the kind was brought back for Mando.
U3PO, rounding out the 3POs on this list. U3PO is in the background of the first shot we see of C3PO in A New Hope. Had to throw one of these random characters in the background, and obviously just one letter changed its name, doesn't even have a different color scheme. Probably D or F.
I don't want to put it in F. I'll say bottom of D. Like U3PO does nothing wrong, right? Like it's just there.
Vulture Droids. I do like Vulture Droids. They're fun. I like the design quite a bit as well. I would put them in B.
B. I love how they can walk too, and like the limbs. It gives them a very like War of the Worlds, really scary like feeling towards them. A little less mobile, but still very threatening that they could just creep up on you.
All right, and our last droid is from one of the more, should I say, disputed arcs of the Clone Wars. That was with D Squad, and this is Whack 47, who really is the only character that gets dialogue out of the droids in that group. I think it's a fun character. I like pit droids. I'd put him at B.
Yeah, anywhere B works for me. I'd say mid B. Among pit droids, he's probably one of the cooler ones out there.
But that's gonna do it for our list. We didn't have anybody in F. I don't know. Do we want to move BB9E down there just to have
I
somebody?
actually think we should. I think we should
Yeah, let's
because
just
for
have
all that
somebody.
hype, he's horrible. He does nothing.
So that's going to do it for this month's tier list. Thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't yet, please like the video down below and subscribe to the channel for more Star Wars Let's content. Check out our review of Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 4 on Wednesday, and then our predictions and speculation for episode 5 on Friday. If you haven't checked out our predictions and speculation for episode 4, check that one out before the new episode comes out. We just got the community tab as well, so we're going to be posting a lot more on there, especially for these series that we do once a month like this and Legends Book Club as well. So we want to know your guys' opinions on some of this stuff, what we should do for these next few topics. Let us know down below which of the tier lists you would like to see in the future for our Star Wars Lads monthly tier list. And we will kind of be looking at that and creating a post as well where you can comment and taking those suggestions, putting it into a poll the week before the newest tier list comes out. And then you guys can vote and basically decide which tier list we are going to be doing. So we want to interact more and more with our community, and we hope you guys enjoy that aspect of our show. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.